Hello, everyone. I was trying to wait until the computer stopped adding people because my screen jumps around when that happens. And so, but I can just greet you more than once. It's good to be here with all of you. Bhumi Sparsha. This is Medicine Buddha. So if you weren't looking for Medicine Buddha, you may want to check your link. My name is Sharon Hill. Obviously, I'm not Lama Rod. Lama Rod is away teaching some different students this evening, or at least away where he can't be on tonight with the intention of teaching some different students. I don't know if they're in practice right now, but we will practice together tonight. If you're new, go ahead and tell us who you are in the chat. And I'm sure all of our lovely meditators will welcome you. And as I do, I welcome returning Medicine Buddha participants and new people. The structure I'm going to follow today, we'll be together for about an hour, and I will talk the first 15 minutes. Not being Lama Rod, I'm not going to give you any Buddhist teaching. I will share some of my own practice and learnings here, and then we will do the mantra that asks Medicine Buddha to attend to us, and then we will do the main mantra that says like this: we pray for the end of suffering and the root of suffering, only in Tibetan, and then we will do the prayer request. So as soon as the link is in the chat, if you can go ahead and start adding your prayer requests. And I do ask you to take a moment now and just settle into the space and get comfortable. If you need to run, get water, you still got some time to do that. Or if the temperature is not to your comfort level, you can make adjustments, grab a blanket, and just start drawing your energy into this space and this time. This time that we spend together is time with Medicine Buddha, and it's a gift we give ourselves. So let yourself be fully engaged in that and fully settled into that experience. And there's also the gift of being in community with people who have the same intention that you do, which is the intention to be free and to support each other in being free and to support all sentient beings in being free. So breathe and settle into your body and be present here in the community. I promised to tell you a little about me, and I've done several of these, so I try to tell you a little something different each time, but I've some of you that there will be a repetition of information, maybe more than you want to know about me, or you've heard it enough, but the by way of introduction, so that those who are new or may not know me as well can have some sense of who is holding space tonight. I put together a list of what I call my lineages. Of course, they're not lineages in the sense that Lama Rod speaks about his Tibetan lineage, but they have some similarities and some differences, and they shape who I am. I didn't just, pop on your screen tonight as it may appear to you, but I come from somewhere. I have deep roots, and the first place I come from is my family. I was born in a small town in North Carolina to two African-American parents who were married, and they died within a month of each other. They were married for some 65 years, and so I lived in a very stable community. Part of that community was a church, an AME church. You know, I thought it was hell when I was growing up, but in hindsight, I'm very blessed to have had the kind of upbringing I did. I was my great grandfather was the pastor of our church, and he had 13 children. So by the time it got down to my generation, I was related to everyone in the church by blood or marriage. And so, you know, that when I was a teenager, that was a source of frustration because I was never going to be able to date anybody from my church because they were all family. And I lived, the town I lived in was 65% Black, as was the high school I graduated from. And I grew up with Black community leaders. The principal, I started school during segregation, so we had a very strong school system. One of my classmates actually has written several books about it. She's a probably retired now professor at Emory, but the school system was phenomenal for a lot of reasons, and which caused some problems when we integrated schools because all of the Black teachers had A certifications and the white schools did not require that. So some of their teachers were B and C certified, and they didn't want to pay those Black teachers more than they were paying white teachers. And we had a very strong school. The Black school had the only auditorium in the county, had a basketball court and gymnasium, and it was because of community support. We didn't get as much funding from the school board. The textbooks I used were always used because they went to the white school, and then 2 years later they would get new textbooks and we would get the old ones. And so but the quality of the teachers and their engagement with the community made up for that. And there was a woman in my community who, her and her husband owned a gas station, and she wore mink coats and had long red fingernails and painted her lips and when she was at church. And then during the week, she would be at her gas station pumping gas when we went to buy gas from her. And I just thought she was incredible. And now that I'm an adult, I found out that she's even more incredible than I thought because she was on the planning board for the state of North Carolina, and she did so much politically for the state and for our local community. So I grew up not realizing what the racial culture of this country was because I was in a protected Black environment, and I was protected by my family, my parents, and my school and my church and my community, and I was sheltered. So I had a rude awakening when I went to NC State at age 18, but I survived that. And so, you know, I have always been, I'm a lifelong learner. So I left home to go to NC State. I got my first degree in chemical engineering. I tell people I was a slow learner. It took me 10 years to figure out I didn't like engineering. And so I went back to school. I let people, when I was in high school, talk me out of majoring in psychology. They would tell me things like psychology majors are selling insurance, psychology majors are selling used cars, but I really wanted to study psychology. So at 28, I went back to school, and I went to Bible college and got a degree in psychology, and then I got a master's and became a therapist and counselor. So I worked for the rest of my working years, not always as a therapist providing direct therapy, but I supervised therapists and worked in employee assistance programs, and I was in management for the last 20 years of my working career. And part of my lineage is that Bible college, and part of my lineage is my graduate program, where I met some wonderful, supportive professors who were doing good social work, just caring for people and marginalized communities. And then my spiritual path was very, let's say, jagged. So I started out AME. In college, I went to Pentecostal church. When I decided to go back to undergraduate school, I went to a Pentecostal Bible college. And for those of you who don't know, Pentecostals are the ones who believe in miracles, signs, and wonders in modern day time. And so, yeah, I did all that and was in that environment. And while I was at Bible college, I got interested in crystals and New Age spirituality and chakras. And so that would have gotten me kicked out if the administration had found out. But being somewhat of a rogue, I just kept it to myself. But and I had a friend who was also doing the same thing, and we would actually we were required to go to chapel every day at this college. Now I'm 28 and I'm at this very restrictive environment with a lot of 18-year-olds who had never been away from home before, and just a very parental environment. So we had to go to chapel every day. I would put my crystal books in my Bible and read during chapel. And we met a gym store owner, and so I started studying that. And I got engaged with Carolyn Mace and Anadia Judith. For any of you who have any background in that, went to some retreats, workshops with them. And then I went with my roommate to see a psychic, and the psychic told me that I could do psychic reading, so I should get a tool. So I started studying Nourish runes. And when I moved, and then I was in Florida all that time. And after 20 years in Florida, I decided to move back to North Carolina. And when I moved here, I met some people who were interested in Norse spirituality. So I spent maybe 20 years off and on studying Norse spirituality with them, and runes and shamanism and doing pagan rituals and ceremony. And I also, parallel to that, started looking into African traditional religions. And I was also in a sweat association, and the medicine story is the native person who taught us his culture's sweat lodge tradition. So I have that lineage, and I have somewhere in that time frame, the African Orishas started stalking me. And I say stalking because I was afraid to get involved too heavily in African traditional religions, because unlike European and like the Greek gods and that I study now, the African spirits have their own agenda. It's not like you go to the temple and worship them. They come into your life and they want stuff. And so I was not too sure I wanted to get involved in that. But Papa Legba wouldn't take no for an answer. And I said, I don't even know, I don't know if I'm doing this right or how I'm supposed to do this. And he said, I'm going to teach you. And so every Monday night, which Monday is his day of the week, I would cook for him and have alcohol and tobacco for him and sit with him, and he would teach me for an extended period of time. And he has been with me ever since then. And I feel strongly that I'm connected to him and I'm his child. And I got, of course, Reiki certified, and I studied astrology under Steve Forrest, and I still do some studying there. I have an apprenticeship with a certificate from him. And I most recently have gotten certified as an emotional emancipation facilitator, something I'm very excited about. And I'll be doing groups, Black-only groups with for people of African descent to deal with the wounds from living under a culture of white superiority. And I have some professional credentials, you know, LCSW, Certified Employee Assistance Program Coordinator. So that's my kind of resume. And I went through that so that you can get an idea. I've done a lot of stuff. And some of it very deeply over time, but I'm very new to Buddhism and to Medicine Buddha. I've been coming a little over a year to Medicine Buddha. I've been to 2 retreats with Lama Rod, and I continue to grow. And kind of the cutting edge of spirituality for me is an event that started here in Medicine Buddha. Lama Rod addressed it in a week or two back, last week, whenever he came back. And one of the questions he asked was, were you wounded or were you uncomfortable? And I immediately said, I was wounded. I know I was actually harmed, but that's not the answer I would give today. I was uncomfortable. And I recognize that discomfort is an opportunity for growth. And as I've already mentioned here before, we're all here to get free. And so I'm getting free from the lie that I was actually harmed. And I sat with the discomfort and the cause of the discomfort. And the wounding did not take place here. The wounding took place somewhere else, and something in the circle triggered me. And it brought up all of those painful feelings from the wound. And I, in error, attributed those feelings to the experience here, which it wasn't. The actual wounding took place somewhere else. And in order to heal, both from the experience here and from the original wounding, I needed to sit with that and create space with that. And so I share that to let you know that I have no illusions that I am holding space today from a place of perfection or superiority. I am in it and learning and growing. So if you haven't put prayer request in, feel free to go ahead and do that. For those of you who may have come in late, Lama Rod is not with us tonight, but I think he plans to be back next week. And we are going to chant the mantras very shortly. And in preparation for that, I'm going to request, if it's accessible to you, to not only hold space for yourself, but to hold space for the community as we invite Medicine Buddha to be present with us. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths and sigh them out and settle into your space. And by settle into your space, I mean, become aware of where you're touching the earth and how you're connected to the physical space that you're in. Feel the air coming in and out of your lungs and maybe tickling your skin. Feel the seat beneath you. And just quickly scan through your body. And I invite you to find a place in your body that feels good, that's peaceful, and comfortable. And as you continue breathing, just let that feeling permeate your body. And we are here. And I believe that Medicine Buddha is already present with us and surrounding us and in us. And let yourself just be aware of the energy of the space and the time. It's a very precious experience to be here. And again, if you'd like, imagine a tiny candle flame in your heart. And that illumination represents the light and spirit that is Medicine Buddha. That is not just in us, but is for us, is always for us. And let that little flame grow and fill your heart. And as you continue to breathe, let it fill your chest and your body and include your head and the space around you. And let that light reach out and connect with this community. So that the light of Medicine Buddha that is in you and in me and in each of us recognizes, acknowledges, connects, and supports each of us. And if you'll add, oh, I see you've already added the first chant. You have several options here. You can chant along with me. You can listen to me while I chant and just let the light and the chant nourish you and support you. Or you can turn the sound off and chant and just know that we are all chanting with you. And the first chant translates Medicine Buddha. I pray that you know and look upon me now. Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha. Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha. Minla Sangye Kino Soha. Menla Sange 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 Kino Soha. And let us sit a moment under the watchful gaze of Medicine Buddha, who always gives his attention when we ask, and whose compassion is embodied in many forms. And if Medicine Buddha is not your primary relationship, know that this compassion and love is available through Kuan Yin, through Jesus, and through whatever tradition you may want to bring forth. We are connected to this deity of healing, compassion, and support for our liberation. And though I may call this personality, energy, deity, Medicine Buddha, it is an embodiment for me of love. So however you connect with love, feel free to just make that connection. Let that light shine forth in you. And let the light bring lightness, lifting any heaviness. Bringing courage and strength to face any obstacles to our freedom. And as we prepare to move into the next mantra, feel free to sit just in the energy of Medicine Buddha or participate in the chanting of the mantra in whatever way feels most appropriate for you in this moment. So connect with the energy of the moment in your space as we move into the next mantra. I'm going to start by chanting Om and then move into the mantra. Om. Om Te Ata. Om Bekaze. Bekaze. Ma Bekaze. Raza Sumagata Soha. Te Ata. Om Bekaze. Bekaze. Ma Bekaze. Raza Sumagata Soha. Te Ata. Om Bekaze. Bekaze. Ma Bekaze. Raza Sumagata Soha. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And I release the energy of this prayer out to all the worlds so that we all may be liberated. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, rajasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, rajasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekaze, bekaze, ma bekaze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekaze, bekaze, ma bekaze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekaze, bekaze, ma bekaze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekaze, bekaze, ma bekaze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Te ata om bekanze, bekanze, ma bekanze, razasuma gata soha. Teata hom bekanze ma bekanze razumagata 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 soha. Teata home bekanze ma bekanze razumagasoha. 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 Teata hom 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 bekanze ma bekanze razumagasoha. As we move into our prayers, I'm bringing up the Google Doc and I'll be reading them out loud. And I ask that we all pray together. Good healing to Joel after his bypass surgery, and for S, who is really fatigued from taking care of him. Prayers for Megan, may her foot heal quickly. Prayers for Jack, may his brain nodule not be serious. Prayers for all my beloveds. Prayers for Jay, who is struggling with suicidal ideation. Prayer of gratitude for all teachers and all those who are holding space and care for our young ones. Prayers for A, that his journey from earth be one of peace and grace. Prayers for myself as I grieve the loss of A, that my heartbrokenness may serve a purpose. Prayers for all beings throughout all times and space who are experiencing deep suffering and confusion. May their prayers be answered. Prayers for all my nibblings, for their well-being and fulfillment. for this Sangha and for all our benefactors. Prayers of gratitude for Lama Rod and protection for him as he travels. Prayers for Wendy recovering from surgery and for her family as they support her through ovarian cancer. Prayers for Jacqueline as she grieves the recent loss of her father, Mark. Prayers for Mary as she follows the desires of her heart. Prayers for my sister's health. Prayers for guidance as I enter this next chapter of my life and vocation. Prayers for my wife who has a medical procedure tomorrow, for my aunt who has passed, and for her daughters during this time. Prayers for Adriana, who is due for labor very soon, and for Brian, who will be supporting her. May the labor go as smoothly as possible. Prayers for those who do magic, those who do harm, and those who do both. Prayers for Mel, Sal, and the land defenders of the forest in Atlanta. Prayers for Heidi, who is struggling with hopelessness and working so hard to stay alive. Prayers for Anbil Bigwan, who suffers from colonialism, the loss of his parents, the loss of his life mate, and his fear of humanity. May he touch into the wisdom of his ancestors and remember his trust and patience in those who intend to do him no harm. Prayers for John, whose father just passed, wishing his father a peaceful transition to the Bardo, and John lots of love and support in his grieving process. Prayers for many people, families, and kids who have crossed a violent border and experienced trauma and loss to arrive in the U.S. Prayers for all beings in all realms of time and space. May we all be healed. Prayers for Lama Rod and all involved with Bhumi Sparsha. Prayers for Bhumi Ma. Prayers for full and swift liberation of all beings in all realms at all times. Prayers for Monty. And prayers for all of those who did not speak their prayers, but have them, hold them in their hearts. May we lift those prayers up also. And prayers for Shirley as she deals with illness and grief and caring for her mother, and prayers for her mother also. Prayers for Jen as she supports her dad through his transition from the hospital to nursing home care, and prayers for him that his new living arrangements support him be comfortable and support his healing. Prayers for Jay as she deals with depression and grief. Prayers for all of those who Bhumi Sparsha members who tonight may be having ailments in their bodies. And for those of us having ailments in our mind, may all of us find comfort, healing, and liberation in Medicine Buddha. And let us return to the mantra. Om Teata Om Bekanze Ma Bekanze Rasa Sumagata Soha 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 Teata Om Bekanze Ma Bekanze Rasa Sumagata Soha. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And I release the energy of this prayer to all the worlds so that we may all be liberated. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And I release the energy of this prayer out to all the world so that we may all be liberated. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And I release the energy of this prayer out to all the world so that we all may be liberated. Like this, we pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And we release the energy of this prayer out to all the world so that we all may be liberated. And I just want to sit in this warm feeling that I am full of right now. But we should probably move into Shanti Deep as prayer. We're going to recite this together 3 times, or as together as our recitation can be. Our intention is together. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine. And may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And lastly, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. It has truly been my honor and pleasure to sit with you today and hold space. And by continuing to come when Lama Rod is not here, all of you support his vision for our community, that we grow and learn together. And so I, without having spoken to him or asked his permission, I know that he is grateful for all of us being here tonight. And thank you, Karen and Eric, for your tech support. And we have 4 minutes. Eric, if you want to bring people off mute. I'm sorry, Karen, if you can bring people off mute. If there's someone who would like to speak, if you'll raise your hand using the hand raise function, I'll be glad to give you a few minutes to speak to the community.
For some reason, you need to raise your hand and then we need to ask you to unmute yourself. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe Eric can fix that. You may not be able to unmute yourself.
Doesn't matter.
I think we can unmute ourselves
Yay!
just as it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I'll just say it did say I had my hand up earlier, but I was just worshiping the Holy Spirit, and then it says that my hand's up, so that's a problem I've been running into lately. So good problem to have, though.
Well, and if there's no comments from the community, again, thank you for being here and for supporting Bhumi Sparsha and supporting me. I don't know if there's a link in the chat, but there's definitely a link on the website for anyone who wants to support Bhumi Sparsha. You can make donations to Lama Rod or Bhumi Sparsha. Oh, in the Buddhist community, we call that Dana. And I am, still learning the lingo, but this is our community, and any contributions are appreciated. And for those of you who haven't led one of these, it's a joy and a learning opportunity. Another way to get free. So when Lama Rod offers another training session, just giving a little ad for that. And I see the faces of some of you who have already been before us, and I appreciate you. So-
There's one question in the chat that needs an answer, which is just about how to access all of the recordings for Medicine Buddha, which Eric has put on YouTube. There it is. There it is. Yay. Okay. Thank you so much for putting that in. And thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.